a lot of the second year has been a pandemic where a lot of people have certain opinions on living, in the country in a pandemic that we're able to say confirm some of those here or say it's not what you think.
We staged that and all of this. Most people would bring you their beautiful living rooms. We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna bring you our work in progress studio and our drinks. Bumper ball.
Unique York.
Brown rubber bumper ball. Baby bumper bumper bumpy balls. Balls.
Bumper
Rubber
balls?
bumper balls. Bumper. No, maybe balls is not even rubber bumper. Baby bumper rubber bumper.
Hey y'all, it's Bo and Kelly Brotherton from Better Together Life and the Shed to House Facebook group. Today, we're going to be talking about...
It's very exciting to be here in America. What a buzz.
Yep.
I think when I get on here, he gets nervous.
I do. Where's the living in a shit there in it? That's what I was looking for. A lot of people have asked, what is it like we've been here for 2 years living in our shed to house, not exactly this space, because life is going to change for year 3.
I hope we're not living in this space.
We're not, but we have been living in our main house, and it's been 2 years, and a lot of the second year has been a pandemic, where a lot of people have certain opinions on living, in the country in a pandemic that we're able to say confirm some of those here or say it's not what you think. So we're going to be talking about what is it like living in a shed to house conversion during a pandemic.
The most uplifting conversation we can have in our studio today.
It is good. It is good.
I think it's great.
The first thing is we saw this coming a little bit.
I don't think we saw the pandemic coming, but I think at the beginning of it, we saw how things could turn quickly.
Yes, back in 2015, whenever we bought this property, we knew that just something was going to happen. It was just about, eventually...
Bo thought the world was ending in 2015.
Yes.
So we bought a property that was equidistant-ish from all the people we loved, and if they had to, they could come to it. That's why we live here, in a shed in the woods, that we converted into a house, where we all live, honestly, happily ever after. We saw something shaking back in 2015, and God led us to this space.
It only took 5 years for something to happen.
Provided all the things we needed to get it, and then we began building life here 2 years ago. In that time, I feel like the want for sustainable food, the want for having our family together and doing school and working together, the little things that make up what you guys see on this channel happened years ago when we were first planning what we would do with this property.
It changed a little bit. We thought in the very beginning that moving to the property was going to be this very functional, permaculture farm of or at least whenever I say we, I mean me. That was the thought of it, that we were going to, feed people. We were going to do all the sustainable things, regenerative. But it was whenever we lost the home sale. Kelly calls me our second buyer. Went through the inspection and they no longer want to be a part of our house. One of the things on the list that they were mad about was because our house was immaculate and clean, but the oven was dirty. And we had to make a reset beyond the fact that that dream that I had it hit like a really bad marital spot to where I told Kelly all of this dreams for this property that I have, and her response was, "We're not in your dream." Like, you
didn't list us there.
I did not list.
Back up.
I did not list my wife. I did not just everything in the world under the sun to me.
Yeah.
I did not list my children.
This was long before we moved here.
Oh, of course. This was back in 2000.
Yeah.
This
maybe even 16
early
at that
2016. Point. Oh no, this was November 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was able to get a better understanding over the years, and then whenever we finally were able to sell our house in 2017, we couldn't sell it, so we had to take it off the market, and then God just really gave us 6 months so that I could know the priorities.
Yeah.
That this property went from not only the permaculture farm, but living the country life is better together. That really, it was something that just our family being here, being together, it really helped shape a lot of the priorities for us, that we've really designed this space around all the cool things that we want to do with our family, with friends, and with our kids, so that whenever the pandemic hit, we were doing pretty good.
Yeah, the infrastructure that we had in mind for sure had animals, and like our freezer is stocked. We have a freezer. That was a big deal. But the family part of it was maybe a surprise, like insulation for the last 9 months. So social distancing, yes, piece of cake for us, right? Like, we're out in the boonies anyways. It's really not the boonies. We're just in not in the city proper. We're already kind of isolated. But the problem with that is you're already kind of isolated. So when you do get to go into town for the labs at the Natural History Museum, when you do get to go into town to shop or things like that, you can't meet up with your friends at the beginning of this whole thing back in March the way we want to, and that removes those really big moments. Those are things we plan throughout the month for, and at the beginning of the pandemic, that really took that away from us. So it allowed us to think differently about how we interact with our friends. And I remember one day just really wanting to sit and have pie with friends. So I baked a pie for our family. I baked a pie for our friends. We drove a few minutes over to their house, left the pie at their house, and then we all Zoomed and ate pie together like we were hanging out, and then just had coffee and chatted over the Zoom together. But it did affect us just very, very differently. When schools shut down, our school still went on. Mm-hmm. When kids were not going to the park, our kids had trees to climb. So there was a lot of preparation that happened years before this pandemic ever hit that insulated our family, that gave us kind of margins to still do life as normal, but we weren't left unaffected.
And what we're talking about, a lot of this hard stuff, of course, for most of the country and most of the world, happened back in the early summer.
Yeah.
A lot of you might be listening like, this doesn't make sense. We're going to drive it home here at the end in terms of how it really matters and why the life that we're building is going to be worth it no matter what. Mm-hmm. Small house, big land living. So about a week ago, I asked Kelly, I was trying to come up with some ideas for videos, and I said, hey, what is the worst thing about living in this house? And do you remember what your answer was?
I think I just came back quick and said, besides not being finished, we're building a studio and we still don't have a master bath.
Not being finished.
That, yeah, I think that's the hardest thing is.
But besides that,
nothing. There's nothing that I think I'm missing other than Costco's not 5 minutes from my house.
But living in 800 square feet with 4 kids, 2 dogs that sleep inside.
I think that just hits so many pluses that they're really, anything negative is minimal.
And so the fact that we were able to be in the hard parts of the pandemic, that we were able to be here on, not like 100 acres, but 7 acres is pretty good.
Blessing. Like, that was a gift and something I feel all the time like we just don't deserve. We don't deserve the gift of living here, and I'm thankful that we have it. So I just want to use it well.
Yeah, and have you thought about, like, we have friends back in suburbia, on our 1/8 of an acre lot.
Yeah.
Like, not 1 acre, 1/8 of an acre lot. I mean, some of those are friends that we love and we care for. Like, they have one kid. Like, or, like, that's...
Yeah, I think having a lot of kids during the pandemic has been like built-in social club. Like, they all have their friend, and even if they're mad at one of them, there's another one. Somebody's willing to jump on the trampoline with you.
I never thought about that until this happened.
Way to go, Kelly.
I know. Good job. Good job. You ready for number 5?
That is not an announcement.
Okay, so driving it home, a lot of y'all know that I am a big fan of Jack Spirko of the Survival Podcast, and his tagline is living a better life if times get tough or even if they don't. It makes sense whenever you're talking about designing your life, but for us being right now, going into Christmas season of 2020.
Yeah.
And, nobody really went shopping. Probably everybody's, buying their Christmas stuff online, which is a big difference. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, life is it's just weird, a little different now, but it's not as bad as it was back in the beginning of the summer.
Depending on where you live.
Exactly. Yeah. Here in Texas, it's a little, I was talking to some awesome bearded men up in Michigan that they have some laws about Thanksgiving. I don't know if we have laws. Do we have any laws about Thanksgiving?
No less than 5 questions on Instagram in the last week about like, hey, what's happening in Texas? I'm thinking about moving there. I cannot advise for you to either move or not to move to Texas. But what I can say is that Texans are going to stand up.
Did we have any laws about Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay. There evidently, even in Michigan, were laws about Thanksgiving. They were limited to I think it was like 10 in a household for Thanksgiving. We didn't have any of that. But anyway, just meaning that we don't know what is going to happen in 2021. It might be great. It might get worse. They now know that they can kind of control the mice a little bit and get them to go through the maze in a different way.
There's never been a time or a government in history that has gained power and then been like, no, we want to give it back to you. You really deserve it, people. Let's give you back that power that you once had that we just took.
Back in 2015, whenever I was planning my family's life without really considering them of creating this amazing permaculture property, which is, there's still a lot of that. There's some basis in that. We are planning whether times get tough or even if they don't. And a lot of that has to do with this studio space right now.
Yeah.
So like the crazy preppers that think that the world's going to go down in an EMT or something. Doomsday preppers.
That's what it's called.
You might say like, you're not going to be able to do a YouTube channel in your studio. Well, we're planning that if it's hard or even if it's not. Honestly, for now, having a studio, we were ahead of the game now. A lot of you guys, we have friends that worked at Google and Google said, hey, you're going to be able to work, on the road or work remote for like a year. And that's amazing, the fact that our world has changed. And a lot of you that are wanting to stay in suburbia and you have a little bit of extra yard space, that you might want to get a studio like this.
Right.
United Portable Buildings is good if you're in the South. It's a good place to get it. We also are planning like our outdoor shower. Yeah. Those are things that are very hoity-toity, but it's super odd.
We can say we're not roughing it, but I wouldn't say that we veered away from permaculture. And one of the things in permaculture design is like focus on your zone 0. Yeah. Are we still zone 0, right? So we're still doing that because in order for us to keep bringing you videos.
Well, zone 0 is really the house.
But this is the house.
Well, this is really zone 1.
This is still zone 0. And it's because to do the business that we do, we need a space where we're not taking so much time to set up and take down. That doesn't mean you can't do this in an RV. You can.
Oh, this studio. Yes.
Yes.
I thought yeah. No, you're totally right. This is zone 0.
Did you guys know we had a different studio that
I
I wasn't aware of?
I thought you were talking about because I'm talking about the outdoor shower, the landscaping, and
100%
things like that.
outdoor shower is still zone 0. It's literally attached to our house.
No, because what we would be doing,
No.
better together life. Zone 0, it would be zone 1 is be using all that runoff of the outdoor shower to irrigate.
To zone 1, but the shower itself.
No, zone 0 is literally like the walls.
The house.
Zone
It
0
is on the wall.
But zone 0 is not even in permaculture. It is an added addition, what people say on top of that.
And in order for you to have a zone 1, you have to have the home base of zone 0.
But zone 0 really would
They
be...
don't exist without each other if you're living there.
Correct, but zone 0 is like not necessarily, it's just like the unspoken thing of wanting to have open windows on the south facing things, which we did some of that.
We've done all of those things.
I love you. You're right.
Drink your whiskey. That said, all we've done is shored up the things that we have to do so that we can make money to do the things we want to do. I mean, we like how we make money, so we want to do that as well. But in order to build the pond, in order to create irrigation for the food orchard, like, we need to have jobs, and that's what we do in this space. So getting to it.
She's right.
Getting to this before lumber prices was a huge gift. Like, I think, man, if more of us would just line ourselves up with what God's already up to and then say, I want what you want before I ever put my feet to the ground, that's been the best thing that we've ever done. That doesn't mean it's not hard, and it doesn't mean that we don't screw up a lot. It doesn't mean that we're not totally messed up people who don't know what we're doing most of the days. But it does mean that even in the midst of that, we're not afraid of what's coming, because we're just trusting that we have what we need for what we have to do.
And all of that you're talking about does work better whether times get tough.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't.
Because we weren't planning on a pandemic at any point in this. Even when we had the pigs this time last year, it was not because we were trying to be ready for a pandemic. It was because we were following this, hey, work on some self-sustainable skills. Work on being an asset to a community of people. What can you bring to the table that has value?
And one thing that has great value right now is Bitcoin, which you should buy at Coinbase, link down below, whether times get tough or even if they don't. I love my life.
That was such a pitch. But seriously, it's not wrong.